Hi, I'm Christina, and this is New Ways Podcast. Today, my guest is a singer, songwriter, and producer, R&B vegan Honoré. Thank you for being here with me.
Hello, how are you? Thank you.
I am fabulous right now. How are you?
I'm great. Couldn't be better.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
So the topic we are talking about right now is very general as well, and I can't wait to see where it goes, but healthy eating. I don't think I've ever interviewed a vegan.
Okay.
And that's something you're loud and proud about.
Oh, yeah.
So starting that off then with the most basic question, why vegan?
I would pass it back to you. Why not vegan? But vegan for many reasons, for the animals, obviously, I believe in let them live,
Yeah.
And then, for the environment as well, too, there's a lot of different things. So as we go deep into it, it's important to me. It's been a part of my lifestyle since 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. And prior to that, I was a vegetarian since I was about 9. So pretty much plant-based my life, And
Okay.
I just knew at a certain age, it was like, I think I was destined to become a vegan. 6 years old. Yeah. My dad was peeling some shrimp. And because, he's Creole, so from New Orleans. And he goes, yeah, I want you to peel this shrimp. I'm like, yeah, Dad, sure, whatever you want to do. So I'm peeling this shrimp. And then all of a sudden I started to have these hives and I couldn't breathe. And my sister's like, what's going on? Are you going to die? I'm like, I didn't know. I had no idea. But I found that I was allergic to seafood.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. And I was like, that's a huge part in our culture, seafood, right? So didn't eat seafood. And then I was pretty picky. I didn't care for meat as much. I just wanted macaroni and cheese and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I was a very odd kid. That's all I wanted.
I don't think that's that odd.
Yeah. Well, when you have grandparents, are you going to eat this food?
They're always trying to force food down your throat. And you're like, I just want French fries.
Yeah. And then me being mixed with Filipino and white and black. So just you have these 3 cultures. So depending on whose house or whose auntie's or grandma's house, they would try to make me eat these foods that I just didn't like. And they're like, well, you're not leaving the table till you're eating. So you can't play, you can't do anything. I was there for the whole day, And, I would try to sneak it and put it in a little napkin and throw it in the trash. Okay, Grandma, I'm ready. And they're like, she'll know. And she goes straight to the trash can, picks it back out and makes me eat it.
Stop. Really?
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, my granny was really hardcore.
Oh, wow.
So you're going to eat this food because you need it. You're too skinny. You need to do all this stuff. So, but you just growing up, okay, I was like, no, I didn't really like certain foods. Didn't really know much about vegetarianism or anything at the time. And then I found out it was something I read about vegetarianism. What is a vegetarian? A vegetarian is someone who doesn't eat meat. I was like, wow, the concept of that was so foreign. This is in the 90s, so who does that? And then I read more about it, and I'm like, okay. And I said, well, all right, I'm going to try this. And I was like, Mom and Dad, we're going to have a meeting.
Wait, you did that?
Meeting. Yeah, we're family meeting, guys.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And then what's going on? I'm like, what did you do now? I was like, no, I didn't do anything. I said, guys, I'm going to be a vegetarian, And are you out of your mind? How are you going to survive? You're going to eat grass all day, I heard it all and went to my cousin's house on the Filipino side. Dude, you ain't going to last, dude. Give him about 3 days. He's going to go back to the chicken. He's black. So, they eat chicken, and then that week turned into a few weeks, and it just became a thing with me, being a vegetarian. And the last thing I ate meat was Thanksgiving. I remember it was Thanksgiving, and
And how old were you?
I was 9 years old. Yeah.
You haven't ate meat since at all.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's been a journey. I didn't really know. I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to eat meat, then what am I going to do? So I just ate a lot of just vegetables, and it was so boring. I hated it. I was like, I got to figure this out, And then I had a lot of bean burritos and different things like that. So called up the Mexican homies. Okay, how do you make those burritos again? And then I would just eat those continuously, and then I actually gained the weight, because I was eating unhealthy, and, just because you're vegetarian doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. It just means you're not eating meat.
Well, because correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like a lot of it would be carbs then too.
Yes,
yeah.
very carby based, And then so young Honoré just trying to be Mr. Vegetarian. And then I was in a boy band,
You were in a boy band?
Yeah, I was in a boy band, and we had this photo shoot, at the beach. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it was me, Carlos, and Derek. I remember clear as day. And then the photographer goes, okay, take your shirts off. Let's go. Let me see those abs. And I had flabs.
Oh, boy band. Take off your shirts.
Take the shirts off.
The 90s.
So Carlos and Derek, they're all abbed out. I had a little belly, and I was like, oh, man. They're like, dude, suck that in right now. We got to take a picture. We're trying to make it, bro. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying. So it hit me from that point, all these changes within my body. And so I said, you know what? I got to eat better. I don't know how, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I don't want these guys to be making fun of me anymore because they're getting all the girls and I'm getting nothing. This is not right, So I just started eating better, and then started running a little bit, doing my thing. And then I grew up a little bit better. So eating more healthier vegetables and embracing the fact that I love broccoli.
So do I.
I like it.
I like it a little crispy.
I like it.
Like out of the oven, some good seasoning. Yeah.
True. And then, so just going through the, teenage years and 20s, I'm like, okay, this works. And it always became, oh, he's a vegetarian. Honoré's a vegetarian, blah, blah, blah. And I love cheese. So cheese was like the thing. I love nachos and all these different things. So there were vegan options for cheeses, in the early 2000s, but they weren't that great. And so recently, they're much better. There's more brands, and they use cashews, and it's tasty.
Oh, some of the cashew cheese that I've had, phenomenal.
Yeah, it's bomb. It's
like,
whoa, So 2018, I was like, all right, I'm going full vegan, So veganism, being a vegan is no dairy and no meat. Just and I was like, okay, So from that point,
can you still have eggs with being vegan? Okay, so just
Vegetarians,
no animal products in general.
Animal products.
Okay.
Yeah, no, nothing. So but vegetarian, I could have eggs. But yeah, making that choice in 2018 changed the game for me, and I love it.
Okay, that was just a wild ride. I feel like you took me on. I'm like, backtrack really quick.
What?
9 years old,
Yeah.
for one, that's a very young age to be so independently thinking about your diet and your food choices,
Yes.
as well as I can feel like very difficult because, you're not making your own money. You are kind of at the whim of your parents and what they decide to feed you or to buy for you.
Sure.
I also just think it's amazing too that at such a young age you didn't give in to the stereotypicalness of what was going on with your family. Like, oh, everyone eats meat. I should be eating meat. I'll suck it up. Because I feel like a lot of us do give up parts of ourselves to fit in. And it's so easy at a young age to be like, I'm just going to conform to what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So how did you have that bravery at such a young age to say, this is what I am doing, even when your parents are like, are you insane?
I know. Yeah. It just hit me. It's just something inside my body. I was like, first of all, I didn't like fish. I didn't like I didn't like meat that much. There was chicken. I would eat it, But I just think I thought about the animals. I'm like, and then I have the questions like, where do these eggs come from? Like, how does this steak, prime rib? But I was very inquisitive as a kid. Like, take me to how did this start?
Really?
Yeah. And then we had a field trip to the farmers. It was like a farm or something. And I remember it hit me, and I seen like these images on the wall, like the farmer with this pick, and the happy pig. I'm like, that pig is not gonna be too happy in a minute because he's about to get slaughtered, And it was just like it hit me. I was like, this is not okay in my eyes. And then I asked questions, and people would just kind of brush it off. Don't worry about it. Just eat your food, And I was like, no, like I really want to know. And just reading, And when you go to the library, I just saw certain things, like it wasn't right. These little chickens and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I don't want to be a part of that, even though it may taste good. And, and then I just took the leap of faith, told my family and my friends. And So basically at Thanksgiving, I just ate everything else but the turkey and the ham or whatever the meat products were. And I was that guy, you know. So it wasn't extremely hard during the holidays because they thought, oh, what are you going to eat? How are you going to survive? You're going to wither away.
I feel like people would be like, let's just watch him and find out. Let's
know,
just
right?
see what happens because it's something new.
Yeah, you know, it was definitely different, and it wasn't as popularized as it is these days. But it was something that it was one of the greatest decisions that I made, you know, and it has helped me. You know, here I am in my 30s, and I'm like, I got great stamina, like I'm feeling great. People are like, damn, you look 20 something. I'm like, well, it's because of that. You know, it's a huge part of what I do, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm definitely a firm believer. I do eat meat, but I am very cautious of where I get my meat from and the source of it, and as well as like how the animals are treated. I think that plays a huge impact on the meat that I consume. Once again, I'm a big energy person, and I believe if like an animal was raised in distress and then you eat it, it holds a certain type of energy and it rubs off on you too. We're not going to get into all of that right now because it's a whole nother story. But I love also how you were like, I started to be I started to be vegetarian, and I realized really quick though that that's not necessarily me being healthy. That's kind of an ethical choice that I made. What was your step then into eating healthy as a vegetarian?
When I saw my body.
Yeah, but what were the first steps? Because I'm thinking of people now who want to be vegetarians or vegans. If they're like, I don't know my options, how did you start finding options? What are your favorites?
Oh,
yeah. Like, how'd you do it?
Looking at recipes, you know, different things. And, you know, as a kid, I'm just like, okay, I just don't eat meat, but then I can eat a bunch of Oreos. And it was like, yeah, these are good. You know, I'm a vegetarian. But, you know, when you go down that route, it's like it wasn't as healthy, you know. I just wanted to just not eat meat. That was the main thing. But then, you know, like I said, when I went at the beach and had the photo shoots and just like, no, I want a better looking body. I want to start working out, you know. I want my body to reflect, you know, my lifestyle. Once I started doing that, and then like, okay, maybe not as many Oreos, you know, maybe embrace some of the beans or lettuce and salads and different things like that. So I became more of the salad guy. So in high school, I'm just salading it up, you know, at the salad bar and embracing that. And it was a choice to be better. And as each year went by, it became more cleaner and more organic versus just eating anything, you know, because like I said, Oreos are vegan, but they're Oreos. You know, and they're junk food, you know, so just because, you know, it's one way doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy.
I love how you said it was kind of a progression, because I do feel like when a lot of people want to make changes in their life and they make that decision, they're like, I have to go hardcore right now, but that's not sustainable. Because for one, if your body's also used to having all these carbs and all these salts and sugars, it's going to go into freak out mode the second where all you eat is green stuff. It's going to be like, what is going on? And then you're going to crash and it's not sustainable and it's not good for your body or your mental health. So I really love how you emphasized you're like, I just started like making more salads or being curious. I feel like that's a big thing in your life is curiosity.
Yes. Yeah, very curious.
So I love how you were like, I just started making small choices. What was at a young age too, because I had my favorite, what was your favorite way of physical activity, like working out?
Running, for sure.
Really? Running, so was mine.
Yeah, I was like, I would get in trouble or something at the house. My sisters would get me in trouble for something I didn't do. I would just run and crying and look, I'm running, I'm getting out of here. And running became a constant thing in my life, which I still do, and I'll be that old man, you know. It's great. So I would run, you know, and that's where I started to like lose a little weight, you know, and kind of get into myself a little bit more in my teenage years. And, you know, they didn't call me chubby as much because I was like doing my thing. And so just a slow progression to eating better, to working out a little bit. I didn't know how to lift weights for sure. I just ran. So I was running, there he goes, running around the neighborhood in Altadena, but yeah, running for sure.
Okay. And did I hear you say that whenever something was going on, you would go for a run?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
Because it was escape. When you live in a house full of girls, woo, it was no joke, you know, like, and I just, it was a normal thing to me, you know, and then finding things in, you know, in the house, you know, especially in the restroom, I would find different feminine products and I didn't know what it was. And they're like, sis, what is this thing here? It's like, what do you, would you
Stop it.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
put stuff on the wall.
Did they haze you so much when you would ask?
Yeah. They're like, would you get out of here? Go outside, go play, go outside. And so, very interesting.
Oh, that's what I used to do too. I loved running just for like, I'm not going to lie. In the 90s, I had a very toxic relationship with my health. We were on that skinny fad, right? Where they'd put a picture of a perfectly normal sized woman nowadays and they'd be like, they're fat. So I actually picked up running for two reasons. One, because I was like, I need to be skinny and cardio, baby. Yeah. Now we talk about lifting weights. It's actually really good for you when keeping a lean physique. Yes. We didn't talk about that then. It's like just cardio until you're dead. Yeah. And also too, when I would just not want to be in my house as a young child, I'm like, where else do I go? Sure. I know I can go around the neighborhood. So I'm like, let me put on my little running shoes and do that. It's like two things at once. And even though once again too, I don't want people to have to go through a bad experience to start something good for them, even though that's usually the case. I just think it's beautiful how there's another outlet to expressing yourself or to letting that excess energy go versus making a situation worse, which is like staying in the house, screaming, fighting, or now as we're adults, potentially picking up a bottle, doing other bad habits that are for us.
Which is true. Yeah.
So how closely do you think physical health and mental health are related?
Ooh, they go hand in hand. And I believe they do because, the mental affects your physical and it goes back, it's a cycle. So I think it does start mentally, it's like, well, what are we doing here? What's the goal? And I'm very objective thinking. So it's like, okay, I want to work out and I want to eat better. I'm living this lifestyle of vegetarianism, during those times. But what does that mean? It's like, okay, well, you're saving the animals in my opinion, so doing that, but then it's like, okay, I want to be better too, because then it's forcing me to eat other things that I'm not really didn't know much, not me being the only one in my family was very different. So people would like, I don't know if they would like look for me to fail or like, okay, this Thanksgiving, okay, he's claiming to be a vegetarian. Next year, dang, he's still a vegetarian. Whoa. And again.
People just love to say, I told you so.
Yeah. Especially my cousins, like, dude, whatever, dude. It's not going to happen. He's just faking it. We know he's eating meat on the low. You're going to Popeyes and all this. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to Chick-fil-A. None of that. It's not happening. And it just became out and part of my personality, different things. And I did try to suggest it to my family. Like, you guys should try to do this with me. No. Okay, that's fine. Because I'm still going to do it. And just doing that and then working out, running. And then it just kind of like through the years, it just really became a constant thing. It was just second nature. And they're like, we can't. And then people like, I couldn't live my life without eating bacon. I just don't see myself. I'm like, that's fine. But if you research where bacon comes from, and maybe it's up to you, I was kind of like a little bit like that guy. These days, a little bit different, not as in your face about it, unless they ask. If you ask me, then I'll go in. I'll tell you, like, look, and it's not just for me. Like, you do the research and you see. But over the years, I've seen how it affected my body. I've seen how it affected my overall mental state. It's clear. You smell different too.
Really?
Yeah, after becoming a vegetarian, you smell things.
What do you mean? Oh, you like your sense of smell or your pheromones and stuff smell differently?
Like
both?
All that. You can smell meat differently. You can smell.
Oh, I bet.
So because your body is like when it's out, so it's like woof, But it is it is what it is. So I seen the benefits, and I can't stress how important it was for me. And I know everybody's different. And it may not be for everybody, you know. So, but I do suggest for certain people, like, you don't have to be a vegan, but maybe go meatless Mondays, maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week, you will see, it'll definitely benefit you, and it'd behoove you to do the research on your own. You don't have to eat meat every time, because when you're eating meat in the morning, lunch, dinner, sometimes for later after that, and that consumption of what's in it, it's just, oof.
Yeah, once again, too, I'm big on like where you get your meat from and how it's sourced and that kind of stuff, because it's weird because you think it's just meat, but they actually fill up meat with so many fillers nowadays too. I'm like, you really, just because it says chicken does not mean it's just chicken.
Bingo.
And you don't know what that chicken was fed. You don't know the hormones. some of the chicken breasts you look at, I'm like, that's bigger than my breast. There's no way a chicken breast should be that big. Like
Right.
there's something going on with your food. And that's why I love how you emphasize, you're like, just educate yourself and be aware. No, not every single diet is for every single person. I do believe that we're all different and we have different needs. But at the same time though, before you hate on something or you kind of push it to the side and say it's not for you, just educate yourself.
Absolutely.
Because you would actually be really surprised about what you find out.
Yes, I agree. Do the research and you know, but some people just like, well, my grandma said this or so-and-so, and this is just how we live.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. And if that's the case, we can always live better.
Yeah, we
if
can.
you choose to. You don't have to continue the same pattern because, you know, diabetes, high blood pressure. It's like you can't escape the statistics of that, and especially in your families. You know, so it don't matter if you're Hispanic, black, white. You know, it's all there. You know, then the facts are there, and I just felt like, wow, I don't want to die. You know,
No, for
I want to try to
sure.
live as healthy as possible, and doing the research and learning and being around other people. Finally, I met other vegetarians during that time. I was like, wow. And then the main thing is like, well, how long have you been vegetarian, and what do you eat? And what are
Okay.
some of your recipes? Trade off recipes, and then it's like, yo, this is amazing, you know. So, and then how do we eat better, you know? And then the organic kind of came into play because it's like, okay, there's a regular apple, then there's an organic apple. You know, what's the difference? You know, where it's grown from. You know, is there pesticides and all
There's
these
a
different
lot
things?
that's different about organic
And this
versus
apple
a
is
not
like
organic.
99 cents, and this one is $2.99. So why am I going to pay more?
You pay for it in one way or another.
Which is
I'm a
true.
big believer in that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna always try to go more organic, you know, because you know it's just cleaner, you know, and you kind of, you know, but still, if you can't eat an apple,
No, yeah, I do think it's funny though, because I saw a meme. It was like two aliens sitting in a spaceship, like looking at us, and they're like silly people. They pay more for more money for food that they didn't poison themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is literally us to a T. Is we are consuming a lot of poison food, in my opinion. Yes. So once again, too, I do believe that like you should be aware of what you're eating. I kind of do like how you brought up there's no escaping, in a sense, the genetics, because there isn't in my opinion. We've done studies now, and it can show that your environment's a huge impact on your genes and the comorbidities that you develop, like diabetes, hypertension. Don't get me wrong, I do get some people are more predisposed to those kinds of things, but at the same time, it's like you pick your environment. So yeah, of course, everybody in this household, if they eat the same type of foods, they are going to land up with the same results, which is like high cholesterol, hypertension. But I'm curious now in the long run, and I don't wish wrong on anybody, but once again, you compared to your other family members who eat the same diet, you guys have similar genes.
Yes.
But once again, who is the healthier one?
Yes.
That's what I think is cool. Is like people are always like, it's in my genes, and I'm like, we can kind of change that though. You don't have to be a victim of just your environment, because that's what it is.
Yeah. And don't. That's the thing. It's like, well, this is just how it is with our family. I'm like, no. And you can change that, you know, but it's just mind state and just making a commitment, like, okay. And you don't have to go all the way anything, you know, but just incorporate your more healthier organic foods, you know, and more greens versus the meat, you know, and
the processed stuff and
processed foods are no joke, you know.
Yeah.
Do we still eat them? Yes, you know, but try to lessen that intake as much as possible and not lean on it, because you will see the difference, you know, and I'm like a living proof, you know, and there's so many of us that do what we do, and we speak from experience that it does work and it helps. I mean, you cut us and we cut you, we'll still bleed, but you know, I can't remember the last time I've been in the hospital. You know, I can't remember when I did my checkups, I've seen all my levels just chill.
Yeah.
You know, like no blood pressure, you know, normal, like boom, boom, boom. So I'm like, okay.
See, and I work in hospitals, and I see that stuff all the time, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get into that right now. But there's been so many times where I'm like, you have somebody who's morbidly obese, you know that a lot of their issues going on is because of how they treat their body, and they order like McDonald's to the hospital. I'm like, dude,
it's sad.
You were killing me, but it's your body. I get it. It's your choice. You can do what you want. I respect everybody's decisions. That doesn't mean that like it's the decision for me.
Yes.
But also too, one thing that you said, I think it's so funny, is the concept of vegan food.
Yes.
I know so many people who all go to a vegan restaurant that's like fire. The food's amazing. And you bring them there and they're like, oh, this is all vegan. And just from that, they don't want to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I just, you know, sometimes I'll just won't even say anything. They'll just eat it and like, wow, this is good. I'm saying, that's plant-based, right? What? Yeah. How did they make the steak? Well, out of mushrooms.
Yeah.
There's a way to prepare this stuff and you're loving it and you're eating much cleaner and healthier. Like, maybe I should look into this veganism thing. I said, well, if you choose to do whatever you want, but do the research. It's the main thing. It's like, I'm not here to preach or force anything. But when you find the facts, and then after that, it's really up to you of what you want. And it could be done in multiple different ways, but it's a great way of living, and I love it, and I'm never gonna change that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be a vegan till I die.
Yeah, you're just here saying your story. That's what I mean. I'm like, you can tell your story without forcing it down somebody's throat. And I'm like, you might introduce a new idea to somebody and they're like, oh, I just sparked curiosity that it could be beneficial for you. Yeah. And that's why I love these conversations. One other question that I want to ask you too is, and I'm curious of your perspective because I feel like you might know about this. We have a lot of now, once again, those fake meats, Beyond Meats, but I've heard that they're actually not good for you also though, because they're extremely processed. Do you eat those?
Not as much.
Okay.
Yeah. So my vegan journey has become even more organic, and shying away or turning away from the processed foods. The Beyond Meats and all these different things, yeah, they are processed, but when you compare it to like what they put in meat, there's studies that show like, it's still better to go plant-based, or whatever those products. I wouldn't eat them every day.
Yeah.
And I'm being a vegan. It's like, I'm not going to eat Impossible Burgers every single day, but it does serve a purpose for people who are like, okay, I'm here at Burger King or wherever these places are, and they have this Impossible Burger. Let me look into that. Let me try one of those. Let me order a few of those. And they're eating it. Okay, it's not bad. So it's kind of like an option. It's an alternative versus just eating the meat. So I appreciate that, as a vegan, what I eat at Burger King, no, I'm not going to, it's cross-contamination. So if they're cooking the same thing on the same.
Ooh, that's something actually good to keep in mind. I feel like a lot of us can forget about.
Yes. Or just take the things off. I'm like, you're missing the point, So I have to educate people, about cross-contamination.
Yeah.
So when I do go into certain restaurants that are not completely vegan, like a Mexican restaurant, I love Mexican food, and I'll ask them, one of the first things is, are your beans cooked in lard, because that's lard.
Yeah, it's animal product.
So, and they'll let me know like what yeah or nay, and then that'll make a determination what I can eat, or the rice, is it cooked in, the butter or whatever they're doing. So there's specific questions that we ask as vegans. So I, kind of know what to order.
Yeah, I was going to say that I completely forgot about that. That must be extremely difficult too.
So it's real.
I want to ask you about something that you actually brought to light before we even started filming today too, which I think is so cool. And hopefully some of our listeners might even be in the food industry. Is what were you talking about going to places that don't have vegan options and sharing why they should have vegan options?
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's an organization, a worldwide organization called Plant-Based Treaty. And I'm part of it, and it's an organization worldwide that we try to push things in legislation for having plant-based options in every single business, and giving them tax breaks, to have something on their menu, because we've gone to certain restaurants and they have no plant-based options, and it's like, you should, because we exist, and it'll behoove you to do that because you get a tax break and you're offering up a different option too. And they were not even aware of it. So it's a really great organization. And we've also, we set up our tents and different things at the colleges just to bring awareness about healthy living, animal rights, different things. I have done some animal rights protests
really
down in Beverly Hills. It's been no joke, Yeah, it's an eye-opening experience, but it's something that I believe in, We're not trying to force people, but it's just like, if you're going to be wearing these fur coats, can't you get the fake ones? Do you really need to do that? Because you know how many animals, how many chinchillas or whatever, they had to die for that, It's that deep. But Plant-Based Treaty is a really, really good organization. So, may want to look into it. And you don't have to be vegan. We welcome everything. But it's nice to have different options, because sometimes I feel like I'm hungry and I go to these places, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what am I going to eat?
Well, I think that's something that's extremely cool too, though. And it's nice for restaurants to know, because it is a tax break. I know a lot of places might be scared that they're like, oh, then I have to add more products to my menu and it might be costing me money. For one, you are appealing to people then that will come and buy from you because you have that option. But the fact on top of it, just for having those options that they get a tax break, to me is huge. But no, I just love anybody who's really extremely passionate about something. So thank you for sharing that with us as well. And I think to kind of close out too, if you had to give any advice to people who are curious about a plant-based diet, what would be your best advice to them?
You know, do the research. Google is everywhere. So if you're interested, look up vegan recipes. You know, well, first of all, look up veganism, what it means. You know, it's interesting to me that there are certain people that are like, I used to be vegan, but I went back, and I'm like, oh, you know, did you do it for the right reasons though? You know, because for me, it's deep. It's like, you know, if you really love animals, well, why are you going to eat them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't eat cats, and it's still an animal, you know, it's still a living thing.
Yeah. And
in certain parts of the world, they actually eat those, you know. So it's do the research though. But if it finds something that motivates you, or like, I want to look into it, it's completely okay. And you don't have to be a vegan. You don't have to be full, but maybe you take a day or two out of the week to look into it, try different recipes. And it doesn't matter your background, because there's a vegan option for every single background. So there's no excuse.
Yeah. I'm really, once again, I said, be curious, try new things.
Yes.
I'm just curious now too. What's your favorite vegan restaurant?
Ooh, Gracias Madre is really great.
I do love them. That's the cashew, what's it called again? Queso is phenomenal. That's why I'm like, let's just give people a little taste to try. This restaurant's fire. Please go check it out.
They're great. I got to shout out Davy's Donuts. They have the best vegan donuts there in Long Beach, and the best. So,
see, that's not even something I would think about animal products in a donut anyways, but I guess the oil that they cook it in, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. I'm learning so much right now. Thank
butter
you.
Or different things, but they're the best donuts. Cinevegan, they have the best burritos as well. And Veggie Grill. Veggie Grill is a great restaurant that has multiple things: burgers, wraps, salads, and they have a few different spots here in LA. You know, one in Pasadena as well. And so it's a great kind of like, go there and try it. I
get surprised all the time by food that I eat, and it might just spark something in you, and you're like, I can do this. So thank you so much for that perspective and for your insight. Yes. You're so easy to talk to. Thank you so much. I just love when people share things that they're passionate about, because you tell it's coming from a heartfelt place, and you only just aim to educate. And that's what I really respect about you too, is you're not this isn't meant to force veganism or vegetarian down your throat. It's meant to just bring something to light, make you more aware.
Yeah, it's just a suggestion, it's an alternative. And if you're interested in it, it's there.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, I love you.